Hello, and welcome to another interview in the ACM-W at CCI series celebrating Women's History Month, where we are talking with alumni and executives about their perspectives and exploring the UN International Women's Day theme of gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. My name is Nadia Najjar, a faculty member at the College of Computing Informatics and ACM-W faculty advisor and a proud alumni. We are so excited to welcome Theresa Payton. She is the founder and CEO of Fortalice Solution, a Charlotte-based cybersecurity firm. She is a best-selling author, a sought-after speaker, and holds the distinction of being the first woman CIO for the White House. Theresa, thank you for joining us. We are thrilled to have you with us.
Oh, I've been looking forward to our conversation. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thinking about the theme, gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow, what does gender equality mean for you personally and your role as an executive, and how does it shape the work that you do?
So I think, gender equality has, kind of multi-dimensions in my mindset. And the first being that the barriers to entry into a particular occupation in the workforce are removed. And those barriers to entry could start all the way back in K through 12. And, making sure that both male, female have the opportunities to really learn, explore different topics, explore different types of educational opportunities without any barriers to entry. So you start there. You start really with that mindset of how do we open up avenues, open up the exposure, and make sure that everyone has equal opportunity, even if we learn differently or we're wired differently or approach problem solving differently. And then it goes into the workforce. So how do we get those opportunities to be interviewed, to even know what is the art of possible for the types of jobs that people can pursue, and really having a diverse candidate slate where all different types of backgrounds and walks of life are on the interview side, selecting the candidates and giving the candidates sort of those equal opportunities. That to me really creates a very holistic ecosystem, which allows for gender diversity and sort of this opportunity opening up for women.
Absolutely. So yeah, access is definitely one of those things that we try to tackle for sure. All right, so soon at the end of every semester, we have students that will be entering the workforce and considering all types of organizations. What should our students really look for in an employer, specifically around gender equality, and what should other IT leaders do to promote further equity?
Yeah, I think for starters, take a look at the leadership team. Now, you can see that in the annual report for publicly traded companies that file annual reports. You can often see it on websites, or you can look for it on LinkedIn. And because talk can be cheap, right? And so you can say a lot of incredible things, but in practice, what is the true reality? I would also pay special attention to what are the different benefits and perks that the employer has to offer, because that tells you where they're placing their priorities as far as financially, policy-wise, commitments. And then also pay attention to those cues that you get throughout the interview process. Who are the decision makers? Who are the people interviewing you? Do you get the opportunity to interview with potential colleagues? And what is the diversity makeup of all of the people that you're interacting with in that process? And so you can get a lot of sort of unspoken cues by just doing a little bit of homework and research on your own. But oftentimes seeing sort of the commitment that's published can be a great start in your research. I would also make it a point to reach out to your friends, older brothers and sisters who are already in the workforce, and ask them if they had to do it over again, making that selection of that first job coming out of college. What lessons did they learn where they kind of had an aha moment later around, sort of gender equality and kind of get the lessons learned from them since they just recently went through it.
That's great advice. Thank you for that. Right. So sustainability has been a consistent topic in many of the conversations, of course, that have been, had recently. And thinking about the second half of our theme, what does the sustainable tomorrow mean for you? And what action do you think we need to be taken personally or organizationally to get there?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, for starters, for publicly traded companies, one of the things that students who are getting ready to look at the workforce, whether it's for an internship or you're graduating and looking for that first job, is you can actually look at something called the ESG score. And that ESG score, one of the main components is sustainability. And you can see what the commitment is to what they say in policy. And then you can look at the score to see in practice how they're achieving what they say they're going to do in policy. But I also want to point out something else that I think is really, really important around sustainability, because it's not just about the company. Sustainability is also going to be about you, yourself. You are a finite resource. And so you really need to understand how much you're going to put into work. And then outside work, what investments will you make in yourself to make sure that you are sustainable? What kind of good habits, what kind of good processes can you put in place now that you no longer have somebody telling you what time you got to get to class and what time you need to eat your meals, and you're defining your own schedule and what you do outside of work? You really need to be thinking about how do you make yourself sustainable. So do your homework and do your research, of course, on the companies that you're interviewing with, but also think about your own path and what's important to you.
Wow, that's great. That's very interesting perspective. And we often, right, like most people forget about themselves in the mix, especially for students starting off a career. They just want to, invest in that. And sometimes, and burnout happens fairly quickly. All right. So as we all know, the hard work begins at home. And so how can we at the College of Computing Informatics partner with the community and including your organization and maybe many organizations to achieve gender equality for a sustainable tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I think just even having a conversation like this, Nadia, is so important to gender equality. And just saying that there's still more work to be done. Great work has been accomplished. And definitely we've made incredible progress, but there's still more work to be done. One of the things that the college can do to help us in the community is continue to provide resources, publish research, speak on this topic, and let us hear from you based on what you're seeing in sort of the academic community. These intersection points of academic community with the private sector community, as well as the public sector, are also a great way to sort of share information, lessons learned, where can we do better, and to really sort of take what you provide us from academia over to how do we put it into practice in both the public and private sector. So I say, keep doing more of what you're doing. Don't stop. And definitely the research and the conversation about the research is vital to helping us in the private sector community know what we need to do next.
Absolutely. So that's something we always talk about, try to figure out how do we get actually the research out of the lab and put it into practice. And we're still, like you said, we're trying to figure that part out. I think we've came a long way, but there's still definitely more work to be done. Theresa, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us and have this conversation. It was a pleasure and honor to have you here. And thank you again.
Thank you so much. And this is such an important topic, and it's been really great to speak with you about it. Take care.
Thanks. You too.